What is up? What is up, YouTube? Hey, it's getting cold in this monkey, baby. We might have to change some stuff. Hold up, wait a minute. Hold up. And I'm eating ice cream, man. We celebrating. Hold up, y'all. Wait. Hold up. Zoom. Hey, y'all, this is a 30-minute video. It's cold in here. We don't know how to turn the AC down. We don't know how to turn the AC down, man. So I'm opening up the doors and the windows a little bit in the hotel room. We're on the 16th floor, and this is kind of high, man. It's fun. So I'm eating ice cream. It's gonna be too cold. Uncle Mike ain't going out like that. Anyway, check this out without a doubt. Let's see what this bad boy is all about. Check it, man. Diddy X Cassidy dropped bombshell on the last day of testimony. It is her last day of testimony. Shout out to Scandal, man. Y'all go check the channel out if y'all never heard. This coming from Scandal's channel. Hey, without any further ado, let's check this bad boy out, man. Here we go. Golly, I can't believe Puffy. I cannot believe you. Here we go, y'all.
Cassie's cross-exam testimony explained. We're going through P. Diddy court transcripts page by page to give you a complete recap of 𝗗𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦's emotional testimony. This is Scandal, presented by Law and Crime. I'm 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦.
What up, girl? How you doing?
We talked about Cassie's cross-exam last week, but now we've got our hands on the transcripts. Exactly what happened, what she said, how she responded when P. Diddy's defense team grilled her while on the stand. P. Diddy, of course, known by many a different moniker, but mostly Sean Combs, 55 years old, and now faces multiple federal sex crimes charges, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He faces 5 total charges, and he's pled not guilty. Now, opening statements were last Monday, May 12th, and you followed along with us on Scandal all week as we went through day by day. What happened? We heard from our reporter, Elizabeth Milner, because the bad news, there are no cameras inside of federal court. So Elizabeth gave us the recaps. And then at the end of the day, we got the court transcripts so we could go back and talk about what happened. And that's why we're here today, going through the transcripts of what exactly was said when Cassie Ventura completed her cross-exam. Now, right now, we're in the government's case in chief, and Cassie was actually the 3rd witness that the government called. So she had multiple days on the stand, about a day and a half of direct testimony, meaning the government was questioning her, and then a day and a half of cross, meaning P. Diddy's defense was questioning her, specifically defense attorney 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦. So we've broken down every single day of Cassie's testimony so far with transcripts, and now we're here to do the same with her final day of cross, and this is on Friday. It begins showing some text exhibits to the jury, and I'm going to read from the transcripts, and really quick, just a reminder, when it says Q, in this instance, it's going to be the defense, so 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, and when it says A, it's going to be 𝗗𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗖𝗓, Cassie responded. So here's the defense. Mr. Combs says, "I'm so horny for you," with 3 exclamation points, right? Yes. This is only a couple of days after the Intercontinental, right? And by that, they mean the infamous video and incident that happened at the Intercontinental Hotel on March 5th, 2016. Now, Cassie says, "Yes, I think so." You say, "You are?" And then why? What made you feel that way, right? Are you reacting that way because it's a little unusual that he, meaning P. Diddy, would say he was horny for you after what had happened, right? Yeah. It's a little strange given the events of the past few days, right? A little strange, yeah. Can we go to the next message? Again, reminder, we're going through text exhibits here. And he said, meaning P. Diddy, "I felt that way from Friday. What are you doing, right? Yeah. You say, "Not a good vibe," right? Right. This is him sending you a suggestion to have sex shortly after the Intercontinental, right? He is proposing having sex or some sexual activity with you after the Intercontinental, right? He is saying how he feels. I don't know if that's sex. You took it as a suggestion to have sex shortly after the incident, right? I mean, I don't know exactly at this point. You say in response, not a good vibe, right? Which makes sense, because it's a little odd that he would be suggesting something like that after the Intercontinental. Yeah. What do you say at the top? We need a different vibe than Friday. By that you mean we need to do something different from what happened on Friday, right? A departure, yeah. A departure from what happened at Intercontinental, right? For sure. Because what had happened at Intercontinental was terrible, right? Yes. You acknowledge that. Yes. So once again, all roads seem to lead back to that incident at the Intercontinental Hotel. And a quick reminder for those of you who are new to Scandal, here's what happened. The defense said that P. Diddy was coming down from some drugs at the time, and potentially that's why he reacted in the way he did. Now, the defense does say straight up, yes, this was domestic violence. Yes, it's a really bad look. It's really bad what P. Diddy did. It's domestic violence. However, it has nothing to do with sex trafficking. The prosecution says it has everything to do with sex trafficking. And while Cassie was on direct testimony, she actually told jurors that this was following a freak-off. So the incident in which P. Diddy and the physical assault that was captured on camera at the Intercontinental Hotel, the security camera video that was shown to you probably almost a year ago at this point when it was released on CNN, and then of course in full to the jurors, that, according to the government, according to Cassandra Ventura, happened because she left a freak off. Thus, they believe that that proves the sex trafficking allegations. Testimony continued, though, moving a bit away from the Intercontinental eventually, and talking about Diddy's cheating allegations, specifically pointed ones at Cassie. So this takes us to August 2016, back to the transcripts now. Anna Esteveo says, how did Mr. Combs learn about information that suggested that you were having an affair with someone else? I'm actually not sure, you know. Do you want to tell us what happened when he suspected you of cheating and ultimately took your phone? That's what I'm getting at. At this point, we was also not in a great place. This was right before my 30th birthday, I think. I was dating someone else, and I am not sure how he found out, but I took a drive with him to a doctor's appointment, and he told me to hit my mom and tell her I was okay. When I unlocked my phone, he grabbed my phone and ran out of the car. Cassie says that P. Diddy took her phone and read what was in it. Back to the transcripts. She said, it really wasn't a fight because he was gone. Excuse me, I don't mean fight as in a physical altercation. There was no physical altercation, right? No, he was just gone, meaning he took her phone and ran off. It was just an argument and he took your phone. He took my phone, yeah. How long did he take your phone for? It was a couple of hours before the police were called. Who called the police? My mother. And she called the police because she was concerned about you, right? I returned home with no phone and she asked me where it was and I told her and she said, I'm going to call the police. And her reaction was out of concern for you, right? Of course, yes. Because your phone hadn't returned yet, right? It was gone, yeah. And at some point later in the day, you did get your phone back, correct? I did. Did you ever learn whether or not Mr. Combs had looked through your phone? I believe he looked through my phone. I believe he also spoke to somebody on my phone. He spoke to the person that you were having an affair with, right? I believe so. I wasn't there. And that person is a professional NFL player, right? I don't know if he is now. He was
Whoa, here we go. They were saying that there's an NFL player, don't nobody know, that she was kind of dating a little bit or had an affair with or whatever you want to call it. Here we go. Damn.
An affair with, right? I believe so. I wasn't there. And that person is a professional NFL player, right? I don't know if he is now. He was at the time. Yep. And Mr. Combs was insanely jealous over this event, right? I guess you could call it that. If he thought that it was cheating, you understood that he thought it was cheating, right? No, when you're not with somebody, it's not cheating. But I feel like that's a technicality in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. We weren't married. Even when you were on breaks, he would get upset and jealous from your perspective when he learned that you were with someone else, right? Yeah. Even when you weren't with him? Agreed. And that bothered you because it meant you couldn't go and date other people without him getting upset with you, right? Bothered, I don't know if that's the word. So everyone's question is, who is this NFL player? And the bad news for you is that his name was never mentioned in court. So jurors are going into the deliberation room, whatever that may be, without knowing who this NFL player was. But they did hear about other instances in which Diddy was allegedly jealous of other people Cassie was with. And this time we got some names. Back to the transcript. Defense attorneys ask, after he has taken your phone, tell us about other times that he has taken your phone. Other times that he has taken my phone, when he was angry at me about something, he would take a lot of things. He found out that you were dancing with another person in the entertainment industry and was upset and took your phone, right? I honestly don't know. Do you remember the occasion when he suspected you of dancing with Chris Brown? I do, but I was not. According to the testimony, it appears as though Diddy took Cassie's phone when all of this Chris Brown stuff happened. According to Diddy, it seems as though he thought that she was with Chris Brown. Now, you heard Cassie's testimony there. She says, I wasn't dancing with Chris Brown. She also described other occasions during which Diddy would take things from her to quote unquote punish her if she was talking to someone that he wasn't into. And again, this is according to Cassie. So she talked about her phone. She also mentioned her car keys, her passport. She talked about that on direct. And then of course on cross as well, even a watch, things like that. Back to the transcripts. The only other general times when he would take my phone, my car, my watch, my passport was when he was angry about something. Now, switching topics now and talking about Freakoff, specifically Freakoff recordings. The defense asked, quote, in your direct testimony, you were asked about an occasion in March 2014 relating to someone named 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦, right? Yes. You remember that testimony? Yep. You said on your direct that you had learned from 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦 that there was potentially a recording of you out there, right? Yep. And you were concerned about that because you thought it may have been one of the Freakoff videos. Correct. And you at some point were there with 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦 and were asking him about this video, right? Yes. Now, jurors also heard a recording from Cassie about all of this. It was taken in Atlantic City. At the time, just to set the scene, Cassie had recently hosted a couple of parties there, and she was really angry and aggravated about this instance. Someone may have a Freakoff recording, some intimate video of Cassie. She's pretty vulnerable. She's upset. And according to the transcripts, I looked through it. I wanted to make sure I got exactly what was said. However, the bad news is, in the transcripts, it just says played recording. So what I had to do is refer to past videos in which we got this information from reporters who were there in the courtroom. So according to reports, this is what was said on that recording, at least in part, and this is Cassie saying this. I want to effing see that. I'm saying effing, but she really said the real swear word. I want to effing see that. It is my effing life, and I will kill you. If you have to pull it up, or I will kill you, and he, meaning Diddy, will kill you again. I am tired of you talking S word. You said you have it. You were playing games. Now back to the transcripts. Estevao asks, did you know whether or not Mr. Combs expressed concern about these videos being released? When? Have you ever witnessed Mr. Combs express concerns about these videos being released? Yes. And Mr. Combs always supported you in not wanting these videos to come out and prevented these videos from coming out. I would say for the most part. There was an escort that you met named Mr. Jonathan Oddi a few times, right? Yeah. Do you know who I'm referring to? Yep. At some point, you understood that he'd taken a video, a secret video of you and Mr. Combs and he at a Freakoff, right? I thought he did, yeah. When you found out about that, you spent some amount of time, several months, trying to make sure that it went away, right? I did not. Mr. Combs did? Yes. You understood that Mr. Combs spent a great deal of time and money to make sure that that video went away, right? I didn't know any of the details. Were you aware that he spent a significant amount of money to make sure that video did not get released? No. Once again, I want to note a very familiar name is mentioned in all of this. I just said it, and I'm going to say it again in this next part of the transcript. When you learned that Mr. Oddi had taken a secret recording of you, that ended your relationship with him, right? I believe so. You never would have a Freakoff with him ever again, right? No. Okay, here comes the explainer of Jonathan Oddi. If you're a fan of law and crime, you probably recognize his name. I mean, even if you just had watched the news in the past, Jonathan Oddi is a former porn star. And right now, you can find him pretty easily. He's actually in the Miami-Dade County Jail because he's awaiting trial for attempted murder. He's accused of a completely separate incident unrelated to P. Diddy. This was in 2018, where he allegedly shot up the Trump National Doral Golf Club in Florida, and he's facing attempted murder charges for open firing and almost hitting some of the police officers there. So he's in jail right now. And during all of this, after his arrest in 2018, he sat down with officers and had an interrogation, an interview, whatever you want to call it. And at that time, he claimed, I was a sex slave for P. Diddy, you guys. This is crazy. He talks about all of it. He says that there were recordings. He says that he actually signed an NDA with P. Diddy back in 2014. He had a recording of this sex incident and traded some money, an NDA with P. Diddy, gave over the recording, got some money. And at the time, what's interesting, when he was arrested back in 2018, it seems as though these allegations about being a sex slave just simply weren't investigated. It seems like the people who heard all this info was just like, okay, yeah, P. Diddy, sex slave, okay, Mr. Whatever. But it's interesting now that it kind of comes full circle and Jonathan Oddi is mentioned in the transcripts. Back to those, by the way.
Facts.
Here's the defense. And you were very concerned about the situation with Mr. Oddi, right? Yeah. He seems like a volatile personality, right? I don't know about volatile. I just didn't trust it. He was threatening to release a sex video of you, right? I don't know that he actually did that. I'm sorry. You don't know if he threatened to release the video? I don't remember. You just remember learning that he did have a video. I was in the room with him and I saw the phone up, and so I told Sean about it right after. But you were concerned that he was recording at the time, right? Yes. What happened when you told Mr. Combs about your suspicion that Oddi was recording you? He said, I'll take care of it. That's the most I remember. To your knowledge, was Mr. Combs also concerned about recordings of him getting out, right? Yeah. Mr. Combs is a celebrity, as we've already established, right? Yes. And these would have been embarrassing to him had they been released, right? Yes. Just as they would have been embarrassing to you had they been released. I guess it depends on what content. Yeah. Had a sex video of you been released, it would have been embarrassing, right? For sure. Discussion on Cross also twisted a bit and turned, talked about Cassie's time in treatment, specifically in 2023. Now, this is interesting. We talked about this in a previous Scandal episode. It's interesting that this was brought up because it was in 2023, long after P. Diddy and Cassie had broken up. More on that in a minute. Now, according to the transcripts, Estevao said, Ms. Ventura, you spoke about the treatment facility you went to in early 2023, right? Right. And that treatment facility is called the Willow House, right? Yep. And that was a 45-day inpatient treatment center, right? Correct. Because of the mental health problems you described on Direct, right? Yeah. And during that period of time, you had no family communication whatsoever, right? It was really sparse. Yeah, there was no phone. It was part of the rules of the facility, right? Correct. Cassie testified that in 2022, she began her opiate treatment, and she's been clean ever since. She also testified that in 2023 is when she started this inpatient therapy. Back to the transcripts. And you testified on Direct about the document that you wrote that you called a book, right? The form of a book, yep. Titled The Dark Times, right? Yep. And you wrote that book following or during your stay at Willow House, right? Yeah. Was it during or following? It was following, really. I started to write while I was there, but it wasn't really an idea while I was there. You began writing while at Willow House your feelings? Yeah, healing. And that ultimately ended up in the book, right? Correct. And Willow House includes a treatment for a number of different conditions, right? Yeah. Things like sex addiction, right? Yep. To your knowledge, does it treat sexual compulsion? To my knowledge, I don't know specifically, but it sounds about right. It also treats something called love addiction. Yep. Were you treated for any of these during your stay at Willow House? Nope. Now, there are a couple of objections here and a brief sidebar. So initially during reporting, we didn't know any of this information. So the tweets we saw, we didn't hear about it. Elizabeth Milner didn't hear because it was at a sidebar and we don't want the jurors to hear. But because we have the transcripts now, we know what was said during the sidebar. And it kind of makes a bit more sense as to why the defense was questioning Cassie about her treatment years after being with Diddy while they've broken up. Now, this is during the sidebar. Ms. Estevao says, Your Honor, The book that Miss Ventura wrote, where she says that she learned that she was sex trafficked for the first time, she says she learned it in connection with entering the Willow House facility, and she took their standard psychological entrance exam, something like that, and that's how she learned that she was, you're leading up to that? Yes. Okay, understood. On the stand, Cassie also testified about her treatment during this time at Willow House, about PTSD, EMDR treatment, and feedback therapy. Here's the defense. And you participated in that treatment, reimagining traumatic experiences, right? A couple of times there. As part of your PTSD therapy, right? Yep. On direct, you said something to the effect of when you met Mr. Combs, you were still physically developing. Do you remember that? I do. And when you said that, you weren't referring to your physical body other than your brain. What were you referring to when you said that? Everything. My brain, my body, all of it. Now, more texts were shown after all of this that seemed to show Cassie initiating or wanting a freak-off. Back to the transcripts. Estevao says, and this is the document where you say you're proposing freaking off with a girl, right? Yeah, that's what it says. When bringing up a freak-off discussion and you tell him, meaning Diddy, that you want a freak-off with a girl, that's what you were feeling at the time, right? That's what you were suggesting at the time? That's what I was suggesting, yep. Now, the defense also asked Cassie about how her relationship with P. Diddy ended, and it seemed to me that the defense was kind of pointing it in this specific direction, that Cassie was free to go at any time, and yet she kept coming back to Diddy. The defense asked, you testified on your direct examination that around 2018 you found a photo of Mr. Combs with a woman that he had been dating for the last approximate half of your relationship, right? Yep. And that was Gina, right? Correct. And you were staying at home with your parents at the time, right? I went back to Connecticut around then, yeah. And you made the decision when you saw that photo to break up with Mr. Combs, right? Yep. For the nth time, right? End for me, yes. He didn't make any threats against you at that point, right? Not to my memory, no. In fact, he was suggesting going to marriage counseling, not marriage counseling, couples counseling, correct? Maybe, I don't remember. Shortly after you started dating your now husband, right? Yeah. And you said you couldn't recall exactly when you started seeing him, I believe, right? It was in 2018, yeah. And you were breaking up with Mr. Combs over the course of several months, right? I was breaking up with him. Can you repeat that or reword it? When you broke up with him in 2018, it didn't happen on one occasion and then you ceased all contact after that, right? There is no ceasing of all contact, but it was over when I said it was over, yeah. You said to Mr. Combs that the relationship was over many, many, many times in your relationship, right? Because we were off and on, yeah. So there was communication after you said this is over, right? Yeah, And you can't pinpoint exactly when that was, the final this is over, right? I know when mine was. You continued to communicate with Mr. Combs regularly after telling him it was over, right? Yeah. I want to give a trigger warning to any viewers right now that as we move forward, we're going to be talking about an accusation of rape. So just beware, it can get kind of intense. Now, Cassie testified about during this on and off again relationship, when it's ending, when it's not, all of that. There eventually was a closure conversation, as she called it, with P. Diddy. He invited her to Burning Man, something he did every year. This, though, specifically was in 2018. Cassie says we were no longer together at the time. She was actually dating her now husband, Alex Fine. And here are a couple of messages between Diddy and Cassie during all of that. Q, this is the defense. I'll read Mr. Combs. Can I not get a chance to make things right? It seems like you're blaming everything on me. It's like you have anger to me. I haven't taken care of you. Can you read your messages? I'm not running around telling your business, but my family knows because I need their support right now. You took care of me materialistically, not where I needed it. I have lived in this bubble for myself for too long. I'm too dope. You may not be happy, but maybe it's because I surround yourself with people that always take from you. I don't need you taking care of Kim, Sarah, and Gina. I needed to love you and put me first. I just don't trust anymore. That last shot put the nail in the coffin. I promised myself I wouldn't be with you anymore if you did that to me again. You lied to me. When I think to Burning Man a year ago and all the things I found out that you paid for and continued happening, I just love myself more. I'm not blaming you. Maybe I didn't try, but you wanted me to be a machine and forgive you every time. She never went away. And she means Gina. In all of this, in these messages, Cassie is saying, you constantly cheated on me. You were constantly with other people. Back to the defense questioning, and this is Diddy. When you're talking about the last shot put the nail in the coffin and that she never went away, you're talking about Gina, right? I would think so. Cassie says she talked to Diddy in real life too, not just.
Wow, this is getting juicy. This is all soap opera, man. You can't make this stuff up.
Messages back and forth. So this is that closure conversation with Diddy in real life. They had dinner and then went back to her home. Here's the defense. And that you were inside your apartment with him? My house, yeah. I'm referring to the instance when you testified on your direct testimony that he followed you into your apartment and that's when he raped you. He came in, yes, but it was my house. It wasn't an apartment. Excuse me, your house. You wrote about this alleged rape in the lawsuit that you filed against him, right? Yep. And in that lawsuit, you alleged that the rape took place in September 2018, right? Okay. And you said in your lawsuit that you filed that you and Mr. Combs went to dinner at an Italian restaurant in Malibu, right? From what I remember, yeah. That's what the civil lawsuit says, right? And you said in that civil lawsuit that he forced himself into your apartment and tried to kiss you, right? I don't remember the exact wording, but I could tell you what happened. Something to the effect was filed in your federal complaint, right? Right. Is that right? I don't remember the word forced, but maybe, I don't know. But the general idea was that he raped you in September 2018 after an Italian restaurant date in Malibu, right? Yep. What's interesting about all of this, and I'm not making any judgments, I'm simply reporting what happened, is that Cassie alleges there was a rape incident in September of 2018, but that she saw P. Diddy willingly again after that and had consensual sex with him after that too. Back to the transcripts. You testified on direct that you saw him the following month by choice, right? Correct. And you said you agreed to see him because you had been together for over 10 years, right? Yeah, it was a friend's birthday. And you testified that you saw him because you couldn't just turn your feelings off just like that, right? Right. And you can't actually just turn your feelings off just like that, right? Right. And you still had feelings for him at that point, right? There were feelings there, yeah. Whose birthday was it? The event that you saw him? If I remember correctly, it was Andre Harrell, who you know and Mr. Combs both know, right? Yeah. And at that point, when you saw him and you still had feelings for him, you didn't hate him then, right? No. And this is a month after August 2018, right? Yep. And you don't still hate him now, right? I don't hate him. You don't know, you said? I said, I don't hate him. Thank you. In fact, you still have love for him? I have love for the past and what it was. Now, there were messages back and forth read during all of this time when Diddy's asking Cassie, are you dating anyone else? Do you think I'm dating anyone else? Cassie saying things like, stop. I need to stop caring about you. I'm heartbroken. I want to be done with this. I'm trying to put this past you. Anything you would really expect from someone who'd been in a 10 to 11 year relationship with someone and is heartbroken about the way it ended, still cares for that person, but is like, I need to separate myself from you. I need to take a step back simply for myself and to move on. She did testify, though, that she still cared about P. Diddy. Here's one of the texts that she wrote to him during this time. She said, I do love you. I would just prefer not being one of your girlfriends anymore. There are more texts, too, about them meeting up. Here's back to the defense. And you say, I don't know what to say. I chose my sanity over everything. Today would be the first time we're seeing each other in person in a long time. I'm so peaceful right now. I want to keep it. I'm finally sleeping well and I gained weight. I don't think you understand how those two small things have made the hugest difference, right? And you don't say anything to the effect of, the last time we saw each other, you raped me, right? Right. And in fact, you're saying that you want to keep peace, right? Yep. And he responds, I respect your sanity. It's best we just keep it moving. I'm not a stalker, no beef. I'm clearer than ever. I don't want a link. Focus on you and your sanity. I'm good. Love. Right? Right. And you said, was really looking forward to that hug, but okay, right? Right. And you wanted to hug him at that point, right? That's what I said. And in the next message you say, I'd just rather talk in person, right? Now, on September 27th, 2018, she saw Diddy again. And when you saw him that night, did you have sexual intercourse with him? I did. And that night, when you were having intercourse with him, did you receive a FaceTime call? I did. And did you answer that call? No. Did you recognize the caller ID to be your now husband? I did. And Mr. Combs noticed this call, right? Yep. And he noticed the name that was, or the alias that was popping up on your phone, right? Yep. And this was in the middle of your evening with Mr. Combs? Correct. During which you were having sexual intercourse, right? Yeah. Was it actually in the middle of sexual intercourse that you received this call? We were together. I don't know if it was actually in the middle. After that evening with Mr. Combs, you told him that you had a great night with him, right? Right. Yes, you did? Uh-huh. Yes. And your now husband didn't know you were with Mr. Combs at the time, correct? I don't know what he knew at that point.
Wow,
I don't know.
This is crazy.
You were seeing him at the time, right? Yes. At the time, you had this evening with Mr. Combs. Yes. Now, I want to jump forward in the timeline to November 15th, 2018. And this is when Kim Porter unfortunately passes away. Kim Porter was Diddy's longtime girlfriend, the mother to multiple of his children, and she had a memorial service. And Cassie reached out to Diddy during all of this, actually flew to Kim's home state. And during all of this, at the memorial service in front of friends, family, social media, Diddy called Kim Porter his soulmate. Back to the transcripts. And so your feelings are hurt following this memorial service, correct? Yeah, yep. You right. You posted that Kim was your soulmate. What was the 11 years all about? That refers to him saying after Kim's death that Kim was his soulmate, right? Yep. And that was extraordinarily hurtful, right? Yeah, at the time, yeah. Because you'd been with him for 11 years, right? Mm-hmm. And he was saying that Kim was his soulmate, not you, right? Yes. And you never saw him again, right? I did not. And he let you go, right? You never saw him again, right? I didn't see him again. I don't know about letting me go. That's different. You never saw him again. Yep. And you got married, right? I did. To the love of your life, right? Correct. And over the years, has Mr. Combs reached out to you? Yep. I'm sorry, what was that? Yeah. Yes. Now, cross-examination wrapped not too long after this. Redirect happened and recross. And that is when Cassie stepped off the stand. After that, there was a bit more testimony, a Homeland Security agent, and then Don Richard, who was actually a member of Danity Kane. And right now, at the time of this recording, that's where we're at, that Don Richard is back on the stand on Monday, testifying once again. To make sure that you don't miss any updates, what happens in her testimony or future testimony, make sure you subscribe to our Scandal channel now. And also, I wanted to remind you guys, our email tip line is open. It's scandal@lawandcrime.com. We love hearing from you, so make sure to send us some emails. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Scandal. I'm your host, Sierra Gillespie, and I'll see you next time.
Wow, dude. Oh man, that gotta be the ugliest thing in the world to actually know that your wife that you have at this time, when y'all was dating and trying to get y'all little thing together, I was trying to contact her, but she was doing the grown-up. She doing the grown-up, y'all, with another man. But we supposed to be dating. Maybe they were just friends, you know. Maybe she was telling him all this stuff about trying to get over Puffy. Oh my gracious, man. That was at the end, man. I can't believe that. Damn, Cassie kept going back to, oh my God, love must be, I ain't got that much love for somebody where you gonna beat up on me and I gotta come back. That sound like puppies and animals and dogs. You could beat a dog to death and they'll still be your friend. Or try to be your friend. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know, y'all tell me what y'all think, man. That last little part, dude, God dog. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, take it light, take it slow. Y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.